If you have ever been shamed for your gender, your relationships, your love, your sexuality, any different types of things here, then you know it sucks. So let's get into this today. For those of you that are new, hit subscribe below, like this video, especially if you learned something new, comment a heart to support me, help my channel grow, because shameless secret, we are going to be getting into Mental Health Mondays, boo. So Shameless Squad, thank you for all your support on my channel here. I've been wanting to do educational videos for a while now, you know, as a certified sex therapist, and I got certified recently, y'all, and a mental health counselor, all these things. I wanted to share a lot more of my knowledge and really help more people here. So this first video that I really want to talk about is, you know, what is sexual shame, how to heal it, and really break this down for everybody. So if you've ever been shamed, you know that you have probably felt pretty self-conscious, maybe humiliated by another person, disgusted, maybe even undeserving or unworthy of different types of things in life. And of course that shows up in sex, sexuality, love, relationships, partners, all the above, right? So some things with shame. I know that my baddie Brene talks about it, right? And I know there's other writers out there, things like this. One of the biggest things is shame can get into subconscious programming to think that like, I am wrong, I am bad, this part of me is bad. And then it takes years to really unravel like these patterns here. And rather than this taking you years, if you experience any type of shame in any area of your life, I want to help you sooner rather than later to just break it down, let it go, let it flow. But first we have to know and recognize and understand what shame is. So Brene Brown will talk about different definitions. Other people will talk about different definitions. And one of the biggest things that I think is really important to discuss and talk about is shame is covert and it's overt. So when something is said completely out loud, it is overt, right? It is not hidden, it's talked about, it's directly said, and it could be to that person or even to oneself in situations and scenarios. So with shame, a lot of times underneath that comes blame, and underneath that comes projection from another person to another person. So it's important to sort out like whose messages and programming is being projected onto you, and whether or not the things you're telling yourself came from someone else or something within here. Examples with overt shame, they can be really easy to pick up on when it comes to the tone of voice, communication style, and body language overall. So an example of overt shame is, I'm going to share mine with y'all. So back in my day, when I went to college, which y'all might be like, girl, how old are you? But this was like a decade plus ago, I promise. But anyway, I and my sorority sisters, we were talking about sex, sexuality, whatever. And I was just sharing like, yeah, BDSM and kinky sex, that's hot. Like being able to be tied up, being able to explore some things more with different toys, things being said, having different roles. I think that's hot and sexy and dirty talk. Let's go. I'm here for it, yo, right? And one of my sorority sisters literally said to me, that's not kinky sex, but what's your definition of kinky sex? Like all ornery and crabby. And I was like, okay, I'll let you be Delulu because clearly you don't know what you're talking about, and you will just play yourself and show yourself in and around these other people here, right? I was shamed and I was like, okay, like sure, like what's your definition then? And everybody can have different definitions, right? And this person was just like, that's not it. And they were very dismissive and demeaning and questioning, which can be ways that shame does show up. So I'm going to be doing other videos on that and how to really notice and know the signs when someone is shaming you and how it comes up in communication too. So overt, directly said, it was in my face and these other sorority sisters' faces where they didn't want to say anything because they saw what happened to me. So that's something where you get to pick and choose your battles when it comes to shame, and maybe not disclose certain things to people, especially if they are sexually shaming you in your sexuality, boo, or making you question yourself. We call that gaslighting here, okay? And that was even before gaslighting was a term. So just be mindful of that as well. Now, covert shame is really hidden messages that feel shaming or kept secret from the world, and it's not always talked about. And it can also be kind of tricky to detect a little bit here too. So you're kind of like sorting. Sometimes it can be like, wait, what moments of people say things and it's like a backhanded comment or a compliment, or it's like, wait, that was actually really shaming right there, and you have to kind of think about it. Sometimes people won't actually say something because they experience so much shame in this certain area of their life. So again, an example might have been if Jackie was just like, I don't want to talk to other people about my sex life, my sexuality, because they're going to label me as like weird, or they're going to be like telling me that's not kinky sex, or they're going to say like, wow, really? really? Like, you're into that? Ooh, and like judge. And so that can be a lot of shaming too that comes through judging and criticism and different types of things. Covert shame sometimes can just really be hiding, you know, your sexuality from people. And then those people might also then shame other people's because they are not actually happy with themselves or haven't explored things more, or they just lack the education when it comes to sex, sexuality, maybe even their own sexuality, and different timelines for everybody to learn about some things. And yes, sexuality is fluid, and yes, it can change and all the things. Okay, let's talk about when we experience shame though, sometimes there can be different types of behaviors and actions. And I want to talk about fight, flight, freeze, and fawn here specifically. The window of tolerance. So if you ever want to give this picture a Google, the window of tolerance is what you'll look up. When we are in this middle here, like where my hands are and arms, everything like that, our brain is online. We can take things in. We don't feel threatened. We feel good, right? But then when we get hyper aroused, we go high. So this looks like anxiety. This is like, I'm going to flee the situation and not respond back to my sorority sister because I feel shamed. I'm going to run away and I'm out, right? When we are fighting, we are in the middle here, which is like, no, I'm going to speak up for myself. And that's what staying shameless is all about. And psychology actually talks about the research. That's the best thing to do. Now, I'm not promoting to like fight or anything like that. And when I say fight, I don't mean physical or anything like that. This is just what the research says is like, we have to be able to learn to expand this more with uncomfortable conversations with people. Like that was an uncomfortable conversation. Like I felt shame in those moments for my sexuality, right? And I stayed here and I expanded it. And I also had to let it go and not tell this person more about these things in the future. When we go low, this is hypoarousal. So this looks like depression symptoms. This looks like when we numb out, we stonewall, we slow down. And this can be, you know, where we freeze. Sometimes we might be a deer in headlights and like, what? And then we might also fawn and we might be like people pleasing to like try to calm down and like our animalistic instincts to make our bodies look smaller so we're not threatening, you know, can be a way that people try to navigate and get out of situations that feel threatening here. So the goal is when we experience shame, because shame is complex trauma, it's psychological and emotional and intellectual and financial abuse, right? The types that we don't always talk about. The goal is to expand this, right? To become more confident, to become more aware, and to stay shameless with really being honest with these things here overall. So let's talk about like how does shame show up in sex and sexuality. I'm going to give you some different examples that you can listen to. And if you want to join in on this pleasure work exercise with me or sexercise with me, what you can do is pause the video, grab a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil, writing thing, whatever, for fun if you want to. This is just a reflective exercise. No, this is not a replacement for therapy or anything like that at all. It's just something to build awareness with shame and these examples that I've written up. So if you want, you can tally down and make a mark every single time you've heard or experienced one of these shameful comments here overall. So you place expectations on yourself or your partner, meaning like we should be having sex 3 times a week or 4 times a week, or you research that stuff on the internet, or you've heard people doing that. You didn't have proper sex talks or a sex education with parents, caregivers, or other people who may have taken care of you growing up. You have sex in the dark and hide your body from others because you're uncomfortable or self-conscious. You don't advocate for your sexual desires and requires, and then you people please in the bedroom. Now, requires is not I need sex 3 times a week. No, that's a myth. That's a fallacy here, okay? Requires is I'm bisexual, so I require having sex with men and women here because that is what I am attracted to. That is my sexuality here. That is different. You feel bad that you need to use lube during sex, or you've heard people shame themselves for using lube during sex. You also feel bad that you need a sex toy in order to have an O. If you know, you know. You get nervous about maintaining desire, arousal, or an E, if you know, you know, during sex. You worry that you won't be able to sexually perform, and then you have performance anxiety, and then you're stuck in your head, and then you overthink about this. You grew up with a lot of sexually shaming comments about sex, the queer community, BDSM kink community, poly community, swingers, or anything that people shamed that was not vanilla. You feel guilty watching erotica or reading it. You worry someone will walk in on you as you touch yourself, boo. If you know, you know. You had a partner say something bad about sex, your body, or, your sexuality in the past or present. You feel bad because you are asexual, celibate, or your body just cannot physically have sex anymore due to physical illness or to any other type of reason out there. You feel like you are the one to blame because of some form of past trauma that could have happened to you sexually growing up or earlier on in life. You experience religious sexual trauma from either people in that community, the teaching, the scriptures, the teachers, or others. Or sex negative messages. You are afraid to come out because of your safety. And maybe there's people in your family who are queer or gay too, and they have been, shunned because of that or whatever when it comes to their sexuality. You can only use substances to have sex because it makes you scared to actually not use that as a crutch. And then you have to be, more emotionally intimate and vulnerable with that person. You're afraid of rejection and initiating sex. You avoid talking to your partners about sex because it gives you anxiety, or you worry about it, or you overthink it. And you can't ask anyone questions about sex, or you couldn't in the past through different phases, stages of development, or even with partner or spouse, or in a relationship, whatever, and you felt really lost. So again, remember, this is if you experienced it, you heard somebody experienced it, whatever. So if you want to pause and tally up the number that you have, tell me in the comments below what your number is. I'm very curious, yo. If you said, yeah, I've heard all these things, 20 out of 20, and I'm not surprised here, right? Or if you are, at 50% of that, and you're like, yeah, I've heard some of these things, or yeah, I can still believe these things and see this, then definitely tell me how you're feeling about this. So I really wanted to share this as just a quick little exercise pleasure work here, right? And really give light to this and how this can come up overall. So now I want to get into 3 tips on how to heal shame instead, and sexual shame specifically, or just in general shame overall, okay? So the first one is repair attempts. So this is the key thing. Repair attempts is something that you can do, say, or behave in order to stop doing that thing that might have hurt another person or shamed another person. So this is the number one thing that we need to start doing. We also need to learn as we're doing this to self-soothe, use coping skills, regulate our emotions when we are taking accountability, to have hard conversations about shame or when a conflict arises or it needs to be managed. So this repair attempts can also look like saying, I'm sorry, accepting responsibility for what you did wrong, and moving forward. It's also not repeating those actions or previous behaviors that hurt another person. And it's also not pushing them or trying to test them with things. That's also abusive right there. This can also be showing gestures as a repair attempt to show them tangibly that you're sorry, you learned the lesson, and you want to move forward or to make something better. So an example could be oh, you're in a relationship for so many years, and then your partner was supposed to plan a nice big anniversary weekend, whatever, at your favorite hotel or getaway or stay, and then boom, they sell out, and you were really upset and you were sad, and you're this is what I told you, that we could plan this sooner, whatever, right? Because otherwise it's going to sell out. And then that person was I'm so sorry, I will make it up to you. And so then maybe, they choose a new spot for you to go or whatever, but it has all the different things and activities that you were going to do at that hotel or that stay or that spot, right? And then maybe the next year what they do is they book a whole week and they surprise you. So they're doing the things to really repair, attempt, and then also upping the ante here a little bit. The second tip that I have for y'all is start to build shame awareness of when this happens. When you know you're experiencing shame, when you know you're experiencing sexual shame, and really notice what is going on in your body. Make sure to hit subscribe because I am going to be doing a 3-part video of these tips. It's going to be longer, so not longer than this one. I hope not, but this is going to be something where you're going to want to know the shameless tea about this too. Tip number 3 is use shameless communication skills. So healthy communication skills. Again, I will be doing another separate video on this to really hone in on, and teach why these are important, how they can help you moving forward. If anybody wants to get my free digital download, shamelesstherapy.org, there's a pop-up when you scroll like maybe 75% of the way down on my homepage. You can get that for free. It's legit so many things in my website there. So definitely take action with getting that too. And then the bonus tip, honestly, there's so much that you can do when it comes to shame, help heal any types of shame. And really, like, you have to be committed to be able to do and be with this work and take your breaks. So like, make it feel pleasurable, get excited. You're going to personally grow when you move forward these things. And if it feels like pain work, maybe stop, take a break, and really shamelessly self-care. You know, go outside, take a glass of water, get yourself a snack if you're hangry, like me sometimes, right? And really zone in on like the different types of tools and techniques that might work for you with other shame exercises, boo. So definitely let me know how you're feeling about this in the comments below. Be nice, y'all. And make sure to like this video, subscribe, especially if you learned anything new, and feel free to share this to a friend or anyone out there who could really benefit from these tips too. I'm going to pull a couple different cards from my sext messages deck here. So what are the most important messages for anybody watching this video today? What do they need to know or hear? Okay. I easily attract better sexual partners than previous ones, and I know what I want, and I won't settle for less. Manifest the best. I love it. 47, you could be 47. That could be a significant year, but also it breaks down to 11, instant manifestation. You got this, babe. Hey, baby. What else? Here we go. Don't expect your partners to know your body better than you do. Hashtag work on this, or hashtag do work. Absolutely. So make sure to hone in on the different types of things that are really good for you. Understanding your turn-ons, turn-offs. If you ever need help with learning some of that stuff, always feel free to reach out to me in regards to coaching and doing the damn thing. What is the most important final message? Thank you. So sexual fantasies are a beautiful part and way of letting go and enjoying the natural flow here, okay? Bottom deck, I am responsible for taking care of my physical, mental, and sexual health as my body changes. Some of you be going through perimenopause, andropause, you could be 40 here too, but overall, really thinking about some of these things here, okay? So if you ever needed to hear this video, listen to these messages, I'm sending you all a big hug in the world here, and I really hope that you keep attracting better partners and you work on your sexual wellness, and that you have the most amazing sexual self-care with your relationship first, and then your partners, or spouse later here, okay? Thank you so much for being here. As always, stay tuned for more. Stay shameless.